key takeaways from Tennessee's frustrating loss to Georgia 31-17 in Athens?
Oh, the first one is the Vols pass rush was neutralized. Completely neutralized. I think we've already talked about this. They had zero pressure on Carson Beck. Carson Beck was able to be a statue back there. And it, we can talk about this, but not so sure James Pierce's draft stock didn't drop tonight after this game.
Yep. I'm not so sure it hasn't dropped as well. It has dropped as a whole because coming into the season, he was projected as the number 1 overall pick. And since he's been
But until this game, he had been impacting plays, even if he wasn't getting the sacks. He was not impacting anything in this game.
And he was at least a part of a sack for 6 consecutive games coming into this game. So I'm going to say that that's more Georgia being good up front offensively than Pierce or Tennessee's defense being bad.
Yes, but if Pierce is elite and a top 10 pick, you do well against. This is like my argument when Fred White tried to defend Tennessee, and I love Fred, but it wasn't his fault. But he was trying to defend Peyton Manning losing to Memphis in 1996. He's like, Memphis had all these draft picks in the NFL. I'm like, yeah, but he's Peyton Manning. He's the number 1 draft pick. He should score more than 17 points.
You say the same thing about Will Anderson getting completely neutralized against Tennessee in 2022, right?
Yeah, you could. Exactly. Like, yes, I get Darnell Wright's elite, but Will Anderson was a Heisman contender. So you expect him to show up against those teams.
Point. All right. What's our next takeaway, Caleb?
All right. So next is going to be, and I'm going to throw a positive Tennessee's way real quick. I'll throw a bone. But Tennessee won the run game battle. We got to give some credit. If things had gone a little differently, they ran the ball really well in the second half. And I'm going to say this, Dave. I think Joey Halsley abandoned the run game way too easily in the second half. I think they should have kept it on the ground in the third and fourth quarters.
Well, you say that, but Tennessee did have the long drive to open the fourth quarter that really, when they had a punt, put their back against the wall.
Yeah,
I could argue the other side and say they should have taken a couple more deep shots, to be honest with you.
Maybe they should have. Can we settle on they overworked the short passing game? Because
but you could. But Caleb, here's the thing. I mean, that's just where they are, and Georgia knows that. Georgia knows that their chances of completing a deep ball with like Hendon Hooker in 2022 was like 35%, but the chances of completing a deep ball with Nico is probably like 10% against quality competition. So I think they're going to just be sure and take that away, play the run.
I think on that on that final punt you're talking about, Dave, at the end, late in the game before Georgia went on that long drive, there was a 1st and 10, and they called a pass play where Nico ended up scrambling for 4 yards. You give it to Dylan Sampson on that play. Georgia's reeling. Georgia's reeling. They're on their toes. You got to start.
Or on their heels.
Or on their heels. Excuse me. Yeah, you've got to. You don't. I bet you if they give it to Dylan Sampson right there, he gets another 10-yard gain. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And I just don't feel like they utilized Dylan Sampson even as much as they should. He only had 19 carries. And look, he was already starting to wear down their defensive line late in the second quarter.
Okay, well, you flipped me because I'm more oftentimes going to be a running the football type of guy anyway. All right, what's next, Caleb?
All right, next, and this is a issue with Tennessee whenever they're on the road, it feels like, but penalties plagued them. I mean, they had 9 penalties for 70 yards, and 3 of those we've talked about the offsides penalties, 3 offsides penalties, a John Campbell holding penalty, a false start by Lance Hurd. There was a pass interference, that pass interference on Jermon McCoy, which is why he gets a blame pie. At first, I thought that was uncatchable. I went back and looked, and that was a catchable ball. That was a good call. That pass interference, people are going to complain about that. No, that was a pass interference on Jermon McCoy.
Yep.
Very clearly.
All right, what other takeaways?
All right, so next on this is the big plays weren't there in the passing game, and we've talked about that. No deep shots whatsoever, except one to Dante Thornton. They worked the tight ends well, but they just didn't. I'm with you. I don't know why they're not taking these deep shots, and I don't know what the issue is here, but they're not.
2 things. I think the receivers are slightly overrated compared to preseason expectations. I don't think they're getting separation against really good defensive backs. And I think the other thing is Nico's arm. I think it's a 50-50. I don't think it's a one call shot. I don't think that he's accurate downfield. That's not to say he won't be. Joe Milton wasn't accurate downfield, but he was a senior. About a redshirt freshman who's probably as cool and calm and collected as he is. He's got to be a little amped at times. All right, Caleb. Any other takeaways from the game before we get to the report card?
Yes. The other one, just missed opportunities, guys. There was Dante Thornton had that drop pass that we keep coming back to. There was the unrecovered fumble that Tennessee had in the first half. Georgia has a fumble. Tennessee needs to be able to recover that fumble right there. By
the way, the pass, the underneath shovel pass, that's completed pass and a fumble.
You thought he completed it? I thought he dropped it immediately.
I thought he had both hands on it, tucked it, fumbled it.
Okay, well, the one that got me outraged more was that squirrel white pass they called incomplete.
Yep.
The one he's going to the ground. Yeah. But yeah, there were a lot of missed. Yeah, but I could see that. Yeah, that definitely should have been a fumble. And I was ready because that was a dumb call by Mike Bobo, by the way. I was ready to do the call the Mike Bobo special, like Georgia's driving and Mike Bobo tries to get creative and he screws it up. But I thought
he would have had a substantial gain if he just catches it cleanly.
I was texting my brother. I was like, all right, don't worry. The Mike Bobo special is going to come at some point. And it never came. And when it came, it was right there, but it just didn't happen. Okay, so yeah, just missed opportunities. I think that's Georgia. We talk about breaks and no breaks, and this is what I mean, Dave. Georgia gave Tennessee a chance at breaks, and Tennessee didn't take advantage of it. It's the whole play forward, make the breaks, which is General Nealon's second game maxim. That's only partially true. It's not just play forward, make the breaks. It's that, take advantage when a break comes your way. And Tennessee didn't do it.